Hey there, taxpayers! My name is Gabrielle Mohammed from the Guyana Revenue Authority. In this week's episode, we'll be going off-grid. Focus on GRA begins now. Welcome to Focus on GRA, a program of information for taxpayer education. Did you know there is no excise taxes on fuel and VAT on renewable energy equipment is exempt?
The primary objective of removing the excise tax on fuel is to reduce the overall cost for all consumers. This is an intentional act implemented by the Government of Guyana and administered through the Guyana Revenue Authority since 2022. The Honorable Dr. Ashley Singh, a Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, elaborates.
As global fuel prices remain relatively elevated, our government has maintained 0% excise tax on petroleum products since March 2022. As world market fuel prices remain volatile, we remain responsive to absorbing the impact of elevated fuel prices as a means of mitigating the transfer of higher fuel costs to the Guyanese people.
It is essential to note that excise taxes are charged on goods such as fuel, alcohol, tobacco, and motor vehicles that are imported. There is no excise taxes on fuel specific to gasoline and diesel. This means that consumers are charged no VAT on these fuels at the point of sale. It is also important to note that kerosene oil, liquid propane gas, and liquid butane gas are also eligible for exemptions from VAT. It is apparent that this reduction in the cost of fuel was done to cushion the continuously rising prices for fuel internationally in the hopes of providing a sustainable quality of life for the citizens of Guyana countrywide. This notion was reaffirmed by the Finance Minister in his 2024 budget speech, where he stated that the measure will be kept in place while fuel prices remain elevated.
Although the removal of the excise tax on fuel and VAT exemptions on renewable energy equipment benefits all Guyanese nationwide, let's go downstream and take a closer look at the hinterland regions of Guyana and the effects these measures have on these communities. The simple need for fuel has been a constant struggle, a journey marked by high costs and endless miles. Such is the case for Miss Alicia Jabbar, resident of Pomeroon, where daily necessities are met with hard sacrifices.
My name is Alicia Jabbar, and I'm from the Pomeroon River, and I am a teacher for the past 16 years. For the past 24 years living in Pomeroon. In any area, the rural and the urban area, there's pros and cons, right? So life in Georgetown is a bit easier than life in Pomeroon. Georgetown is busy, it's a busy life, while Pomeroon will give you more peace and a little more contentment and stuff like that. But it's kind of harder to live there.
Unlike Georgetown, where people can easily access one of the numerous gas stations scattered across the capital, it's a different scenario for those living along the Pomeroon River, where every trip counts.
It's so much easier in Georgetown because, you just come out and you catch a bus and you go wherever and it's cheaper. But in Pomeroon, you have to wake up a certain hour very early, by 7, you have to already be ready and wait for the speedboat operators that normally work. And you have to pray you get a space as well, too, depending on the amount of people. If you miss that, you will be waiting and waiting until somebody that pass, and you could just stop them and beg them for a passage, or, you give them something whenever you reach out to charity. So basically, life in Pomeroon is, if you don't have a boat, well, you kind of suffer a little, and an outboard engine. So you need to have a boat. Everything is boat. There's no roads or vehicles. It's boat alone. There's no other method of transportation, reaching out to charity, to schools, wherever, friends, shops. It's strictly a boat you have to get in, whether it's paddle or with an outboard engine. So what I do notice is that when these prices, the price for gas decreases, the passage, the amount that you pay remains the same.
The government's tax exemption measure is therefore intended to alleviate the hardships for many like Alicia and others living in remote regions.
It wouldn't take long because I live the very next village from Charity. So it depends on the power of the motor, the outboard engine. So it would be like probably with a 75 horsepower, it will be like 10 minutes drive. If it's like a 15, it will be a little more. Speaking from the point of view of other people like living farther up or lower, it's going to be longer for them. And a bit difficult, more difficult for them to like reach out. One of the things that we use the gas for other than transportation is to power the generator, to get light, to get electricity, to charge our phones, watch the television. We have a freezer and a refrigerator and stuff like that. So that's what we would use the gas for. My father is a boat builder, so what has happened over the years is that he's elevated himself in terms of the equipment and tools that he's using. He's using more electrical tools, so that also comes in, you have to use the generator for that. So
in the remote region of the Pomeroon River, where the power lines don't reach, the hum of a generator is the sound of life. Thanks to the removal of excise tax on fuel, Alicia can keep her generator running a little longer. Residents like Alicia and their family rely on generators and a calculated science to ensure all house chores and homework are completed before the fuel runs low and darkness descends. In response to these challenges faced by these remote communities without electricity, the government of Guyana through the Guyana Revenue Authority has removed the value-added tax on renewable energy sources such as solar panels, solar refrigerators, solar freezers, direct current, solar air condition, and equipment used for acquiring, generating, and utilizing electricity from renewable energy sources as part of its efforts to address these challenges.
And that is why you see we had to invest in solars, right? Because it's cheaper, it's easier, and it will give you light the entire night. And I think that's what, people kind of doing now, investing in solars, because it's the easier way.
Thanks to the exempt VAT on solar power, the health clinic in the Pomeroon River has access to renewable energy every single day. With the sun as their ally, they've harnessed its power to keep their life-saving vaccines safe. Nurse Julie Ramdeen elaborates more.
My name is Julie Ramdeen. I'm a community health worker and I'm attached to Security Health Post. Presently, we're using Share Solar. No generator, no GPL. We have a vaccine refrigerator and it normally works with its own solar panel. On a monthly basis, we normally collect our vaccines from public health. So we bring it to our health facility and we normally store our vaccines there. So yes, it is really good for us, for the workplace, our community, our children, and even persons out of the community. Children who are due for vaccine, like parents who have interest, they would come, they would ask about vaccines, if we can give it to their children. Once we have, we give.
Switching gears a bit, our tax advisory specialist, Ms. Nkolo David, joins us to provide some information on mortgage interest relief. Someone might be wondering, what happens to the mortgage interest relief and who should benefit in the case of a divorce, or maybe wondering what documentation the MIR section requires to determine eligibility after divorce.
In a case where two persons are the mortgagors, in this scenario, a husband and wife, and both were on the transport and owners of the property, and the elected person is the husband based on the Form 1, then if they have decided to annul the marriage through a divorce process and the wife receives the property, the following is required for the continuation of the MIR. 1. The wife will be required to submit to the MIR unit all original documentation from the court relating to the divorce in the form of an absolute. 2. As a result of there being a new elected person, that person, the wife, is required to write a letter to the MIR section requesting a change of the elected person based on the divorce settlement. 3. A new bank account number, where necessary, should be provided for refund payment. 4. An internal report would be completed by the unit and a letter is prepared and submitted to the lending institution with the updated information that there is a new elected person, and the Form 4, when prepared, should reflect same. Also, this will be sent to the newly elected person so that when the revised Form 4 is requested from the lending institution, it reflects the change in the elected person. Also, all documents previously mentioned, as well as the standard documents required, such as the income tax returns, must be filed, taxes paid, and any other information that the MIR section may require for the processing of the relief. Documents must be submitted in a timely manner to the MIR unit for payments to be expedited. It is important to know that for an applicant or applicants to benefit from the MIR, he or she must be resident in Guyana, must be the sole or joint owner of the property, sole or joint owner of the mortgage, and must be residing at the property.
Should a taxpayer file multiple sources of income?
To answer that question, yes. All taxpayers, whether employed or self-employed, are required by law to submit all sources of income annually to the Guyana Revenue Authority, regardless of whether they are applying for mortgage interest relief or not. In the case of an employed person applying for MIR, if that person has two sources of income, meaning that they are employed at two places, then that individual must submit both 7B slips when filing their income tax return, along with their Form 4 received from the lending institution and any medical or life insurance premium paid during the year, which they will receive as a deduction. Whereas the requirements are different in the case of a self-employed individual. Self-employed persons are required to submit, whether manually or via the e-services platform, their income and expenditure statement, summary of the income and expenditure statement, balance sheet, and summary of their balance sheet. I must emphasize that we are encouraging all persons, whether employed or self-employed, to register with Optimal's e-services, which of course provides multiple benefits to the taxpayer. When you file your return online, the process is quicker than manual submission, and you can view your tax status immediately to know if you are entitled to a refund, or you have outstanding taxes to be paid, or have first-hand information regarding your tax history. This allows the MIR section to access that information quickly and process all refunds in a timely manner.
And that's all for this week's episode on Focus on GRA. Remember, you can find more information on excise tax on fuel and VAT exemptions on solar equipment on our website at gra.gov.gy. You can also send us your inquiries via email at grapublicrelations@gmail.com or taxadvisory@gra.gov.gy, and follow us on our social media pages for up-to-date tax-related information. This was Focus on GRA. I am Gabrielle Mohammed. Thank you for watching.